We're going to go ahead and call the 8 o'clock JPS meeting to order. Can we roll call, please?
Chair Zay,
Here.
Member Cahill, Member Chaplin,
Here.
Member Childress, Member Covert, Member Desart, here, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans,
Here.
Member Garcia,
Here.
Member Krajewski, Member Ozog, Member Schwarzy.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you, everyone. We have no public comment today. Chairman's report, none besides Happy New Year. Looking forward to a great 2023. We'll move on to item 5, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the December 6th? Moved by Member Krajewski, second by Member Chaplin. Any questions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, procurement requisitions. Is there a motion on JPSP 3223, contract issued to Insight Public Sector, 58 wireless access point, 12 switches, 26 interface cards for the sheriff's office, amount not to exceed $80,400. Is there a motion? Moved by Member Chaplin. Is there a second? Second by Member Garcia. Questions, Member Garcia?
Yeah, I just have a quick question on this. Is this like something that's new just being put in, or are these replacements? It seems like we should have had this put in place a long time ago.
I don't know if the sheriff's office is on, but I can speak to that for a moment.
Okay.
This is that second part of the capital stuff. They talked with us about a month ago for the jail management system. It's that wireless access points. That's my understanding.
Okay.
I don't know if Under Sheriff Moore is on the line.
It just seems unusual that we wouldn't have had some kind of Wi-Fi kind of keeping track of the people in the prison or the correctional center before now.
Yeah, from what I remember, this is part of that infrastructure they had asked for to implement that system. So I think these are the final switches. I know we bought some last year. I think this is the final
So these are the
aspect
new
of
ones
it.
going
I
in?
believe.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, is there a motion on JPSP 3323, contract issued to Monterey Security Consultants, the amount of $1,275,588 for security? Moved by Member Chaplin, second by Member Garcia. Any questions? Member Desart.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a lot of questions about this. Is this a new initiative, having security consultants? Did we do this in-house before? Was it our own
No,
people? We've had Monterey
we've had outside security for many years.
we've never used in-house security?
It's been about 7 or 8 years since we used in-house security. And at that time, the decision was made to outsource as a cost savings measure.
Okay, and is this a new company?
It's different from what we have right now. Our current contract expires at the end of February. The contract was over. We put an RFP out, and this was the winning bidder, if you will, based upon a panel of evaluators.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Member Evans.
Yeah, I have a question. Are there any plans to move it in-house? It was cost effective to move it out to a contract, but is there any reason to move it in-house?
That is, excuse me, that is a possibility. It can be looked at. We did some preliminary back of the napkin analysis, but without knowing what the current market was until these bids came in. We don't have that analysis right now. And any further discussion respectfully might be better in executive session on that. But we're pleased with what we saw, even though it is an increase, but we expected an increase.
Okay. Member Krajewski.
You said you looked at 7 to 8 years ago. Was that before we made the changes over at the courthouse where they brought some CSOs in there? You used to get sworn officers throughout the whole building. Then we went to the CSOs there, which are a lot less costly than the regular officers. And were you using that? Did that happen before 7, 8 years ago or after?
I don't know, sir, but I'll find out for you.
That was before, Brian, and that's the courthouse. That's different. That's
Well, I understand, but that gives you a
sheriff
rate.
has no authority over here.
I understand, but those CSOs are non-sworn officers, security people, someone like these are, and that gives you a rate, whatever we're paying those contracts. If you're gonna calculate what that is times the amount of people, you'd find out if it's 1.2 million, 1.3 million or less. I mean, we did it. You said you did it back on a napkin. I would have used whatever we pay those people over there is kind of a market rate. But I don't know how many people and I don't know what kind of back of the napkin calculation.
I can say that those calculations will continue as we look at, what options we have. And now that we know what the market charges, and we also have the magnetometers, which have added the hours annually. So we take all that together. We have to, we'll look at our options. But right now, with the contract ending at the end of February, we need to move forward with, to ensure continued security on the campus.
I understand that. I'm just trying to understand what you did to calculate before you decided to go out, what it would cost if we had it in-house. I didn't know.
Well, I mean, that was 7 years ago. It wasn't like they
No,
did
I
it. They've
mean,
been
yeah.
following our policy.
That's what I'm
for-
saying. It was 7 to 8 years ago when we looked at it, so I'm trying to understand what we did, if anything. It sounded like a back of the napkin, but I'm not even sure what that is, to see whether we should look to go out or bring it in-house. I mean, when it's been 7 or 8 years ago, if we're gonna look at it, I don't know what we looked at.
Mr.
All I heard
Chairman,
was a back of the napkin.
Just
we've had
wait,
in-house-
Ms. Member Eckhoff, there's a list here. I have people written down. You're next. Would you like to ask a question now?
history. You and I have been around for about 20 years, and we used to have what we call people in-house security, which we call brown shirts because they wore brown shirts. And after a long period of time, we didn't like that company. And I sat down with James Joseph. That's how far back that goes. It's gonna be 10, 12 years. And I spent 5 hours one day interviewing a bunch of companies, and we've had these different in-house companies ever since then. The court security that's over at the courthouse cannot be brought over here because by statute, you've got deputy sheriffs, you've got court security. Their authority only runs in the courthouse, just like a regular deputy, but that doesn't run anywhere else in the county. So we can't use them. So that's why we've been using this in-house security people. So you can't switch out one with the other. Whedon, if you call 911, Whedon is responsible for coming over here, not the sheriff. Now, with the last sheriff, he wasn't going to come over here. Their current sheriff, I think, would be a lot more willing to cooperate with Whedon and do that. But when you call 911, that's Whedon's responsibility, not the DuPage County Sheriff. So that's why we've got in-house security.
I'm not saying bring the people from the courthouse over. I'm saying you use the CSO's rate, whatever we're paying those people. Those are the same type of people that are working security. We use their rate fully loaded times how many people we have. And that's how much it's gonna cost us to
But
bring
it's-
it in-house on a back of the napkin.
I mean, unfortunately, Chief Briggs, who never takes vacations on vacation this week, is not here, but it's not the same people. We have people
I-
that are carrying firearms here. We have other training. We have other, so it is different levels and over there. But we got the gist of it. We'll make sure that we bring that information to the next JPS.
Okay, can I get the back of the napkin? At least, I don't even know what that is, but at least that calculation, how we came up with a back of the napkin to decide to go out? Or we
But
could.
again, that was 7 years
No,
ago.
he just said we
That-
did a back
well,
of the napkin.
Perhaps
Between, maybe you misunderstood, between the different firms to see what they were offering. I mean, the security's been having a problem, just like every other. We have lost many security people. Our one employee, Chief Williams, he retired.
you did.
So we've lost another position. You notice there's new people, revolving new people at the front doors. So again, this is a ongoing, like every other department, security's there.
I understand, but he said he did a back of the napkin before we went out here. We now have a rate because this is what the market came in. I just like to see what our calculation is.
Remember to start.
Thank you. So I'm trying to understand. So Mr. Briggs and the people at our doors don't work for the county. They're consultant. They're
No.
part of this firm.
Chief
That's
does.
not correct. I'm sorry, Chief Briggs, Deputy Chief Parker, and our 2 lieutenants are county employees. Everybody else,
From the sheriff's office?
no,
No.
no,
From
from
the
county,
employee.
county board, from
Okay.
this side of the street, yes.
And the
um,
person who walks around with the dog? That's
That's the sheriff.
the sheriff's. Okay, so
And
where's this
So-
other money going?
an outside contract security firm, which provides about 25 officers to provide security at a number of posts throughout the campus. Only 4 county employees supervise the outside firm. So if you think of it like going to a Bears game, for example, you see Monterey Security there, which is the company that has been brought forward to you today. They're providing hundreds of officers to do bag checks and man entry gates. But city of Chicago employees are supervising that contract. All right, so it's no different here. They're not consultants, it's a contract firm versus hiring an additional 25 or so county employees to do that. And back of the napkin is a poor expression. We put together a spreadsheet a few months ago and started to evaluate based on post, number of officers, rates, what it would cost to do it all in-house. And at the time we had current information on what the security contract would cost. We didn't know what the new contract would come in at. And at the time it was, you know, there was no clear answer whether it would be more cost effective to bring it in or not, because now you have to build in rank, benefits, so on and so forth. And it's a very involved process. Not to mention hiring 25 employees can take a long time. We had to hire 6 in the last year at OHSEM, and it took an entire year to recruit those folks. So all that said, with March 1st deadline approaching, we said, let's go continue with the way it is right now. And we'll get the best qualified firm.
I'm not questioning.
And
that.
then
I'm
we have an
questioning-
option to look down the road, you know, to see if it makes sense to change that
So
model.
where are those 25 people on a day-to-day basis? I mean, the only people I see are Mr. Briggs and the 2 people at the doors.
We have people at the post, at the care center, at the family center, at the crisis center, the health department. There's about 8 positions. We have 2 people that are roving in vehicles throughout the day on the street.
And do we use them all the time or do we
Yes, we
just
do.
use them for special occasions?
Oh, no, they're
The
here all the time.
inauguration, we had the magnetometer there.
No, they're here all the time and they're here around the clock, 7 days a week.
Member Chapel.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to go over a couple of things. So I did read in here that we are covering the health department in this plan. And you know, I think there's maybe something that we're not understanding. The sheriff does not have jurisdiction over this building. Like somebody mentioned, that Wheaton Police would have to come here. Now, if we were to hire, let's say 25 officers, they would be under the county's purview right. So we would have our own little like force, actually, kind of our own little special security force or county police officers, right? Or
Which we used to have, right?
which we used to have, right? So I think that's what we have to look to see in the future, which way we want to go. Do we want to have our own county people? And I'm sure the 25 people are here, they're not all here at the same time, right? So we have maybe 8 people on the campus at a time, you know, and then they take days off because we have to have people here 7 days a week, 24 hours, I assume, a day, right? So, yeah, so for me, right now, I think this makes sense because we don't have the benefit of the sheriff coming over and we would have to wait for people from Wheaton to get here if there was an emergency. And then I think, you know, I think it would be good for us to get numbers to compare, you know, the in-house to going out. But like I said, it would take it would take a little bit of time to hire our own little force back here. So,
And
yeah.
we do have the option with this contract to terminate it if that was in the best interest of the county with a few months' notice. So we're not locked in for 1 year, 3 years. It's certainly not our intent. We wouldn't want to give the message to the vendor that this is a short-term solution, but we do have those options to look at that. And if I may clarify one thing, technically the sheriff's office does have jurisdiction, has jurisdiction countywide. But I think what you meant, you're right. Wheaton is our first response
That's right.
here, except for the 503 and 505.
right.
buildings.
Yes, I misspoke. Yes.
No,
but
I
mean,
just,
yeah,
I don't want to
thank
do
you.
a disservice to sheriff vendor.
Right, yes, no disrespect meant there, just was, yeah, but right, but we'd have to have Wheaton come here. So I think right now this is a good plan. I mean, I think our security has done a good job the last few years that I've been here. So right now I'm comfortable with it, but I agree with my fellow members. I'd like to see a comparison at some
We'll
point.
put that together. Okay.
Thank you.
Member Cahill.
Yes, my comment is I support this, but I also want people to think about security is a changing industry. It's you need training. This is vital to the safety of the employees here at the county. We need outside experts who are constantly trained and know the latest in security techniques. It's changing all the time. So just to compare costs of this and this right now, these people are professionals and are outside experts or somebody, you know, similar to Monterey. And so I would definitely support this. And yes, cost is important. We'll look into that in the future, but remember, outside experts, security changing constantly. this is what we need to have the latest people who are knowledgeable. Thank you.
Thank you. Over you.
Oops. So my question, actually, I wanted to clarify, you were mentioning 25 employees. So this year contract for $1.2 million is for 25 employees. Is that right?
No, it's to provide a pool of hours that we need. So we're billed by the hour with this firm,
Oh, I
not
see.
by the person.
Ah,
When I say 25, if you looked at the roster of all the security personnel that are here over a given year, it takes about 25 people to cover the different shifts and whatnot, but they're not all here at one time.
I
No,
see.
if we were to hire them, we'd have to figure out exactly how many people we would need if they were full-time or part-time. And, you know, and then you have to account for different ranks for supervision, different rates of pay, benefits, training. Right now, we don't pay for training time, but we would if they were employees. And all that has to come into the spreadsheet that we started to put together, which I misstated as a back of the napkin. That poor choice. I meant a lot more thought went into it than that, but we weren't prepared at that time. But now we are, and we can look at that, but it'll take some time to put that together. It's not a trivial project to bring it all back in-house.
right. And so this is typically an annual contract, and I just want to know how much it was last year.
Last year's contract was about $900,000. And it is an annual contract. We have an option to renew for 2 additional years. We can also cancel the contract. I'll defer to my colleague from procurement to make sure this is correct, on 120 days written notice. And a shorter time if for failure to perform.
Thank you.
And we have added to last year's contract, we've added the magnetometers in at the front entrance, right?
That's correct,
So
sir.
that would be that's a big increase at that point.
And that's 100 hours a week, 5,200 hours a year, which, yeah, does add a significant increase.
Member Krajewski. I mean, you got to lay off the coffee, Brian.
I know, and get started early. I missed 3 weeks of questions, but now you said spreadsheets a couple months ago, so could I get a copy at least of the spreadsheets then for the back of the napkin? And then the contract, 1.7 million, somebody may talk about armed guards. My understanding is it's like a 50% increase if it's additional pricing if we want armed off-duty people. Is that correct? I mean, it says it's $64.76 is additional cost if we want an armed off-duty. Otherwise, it's $47. So I assume the people aren't armed, or if they are armed.
I mean, I think I'm getting uncomfortable discussing our security matters here at the county, and
Then
maybe we can get I know we have a lot of new people. Maybe we can get a presentation at the next JPS or maybe a February JPS to exactly explain where our security goes, because we do go off campus. We go to WorkNet. We go to a lot of our other facilities. You know, if there's a problem, they're there. It's just not this building. It's the entire campus besides the courthouse. So again, if we could get, I mean, I don't want the public to know how many armed guards we have here at the county or anything else and who's carrying what. I mean, but there is a price difference. You're right.
it's in the proposal. It's out online.
Right, but we don't say how many we have and when they're here and when they're not here. So
Sure,
it's
sir.
really,
I think it can answer
Yeah.
that question without disclosing anything that we don't want to disclose. So that last page that showed the $67, we asked about that. Why is there? That is not what we are paying for armed officers. Their vendor's explanation was that's in there in case there's a special occasion and we need a pool of armed officers. That would be the rate. That's not what we're paying. Our rate of, I believe it's $26.77 per hour is a blended rate of armed and unarmed across the pool of hours we need for the whole year. So yeah, we're not paying the 67. Thank you.
Member Desart.
Thank you. And I'm happy to have this conversation while still keeping the integrity of campus security. But so you're saying that last year's contract was 900,000 and this one is 1.2 million. And part of that you just said was for the magnetometers. And are we renting the magnetometers, or is this a purchase? Would it be cheaper for us to purchase if they are rented?
No, we own them.
We own the
Okay, so,
this is,
but that's part of the contract of this year to buy the 2 magnetometers.
we already own them,
We own them.
but
It's for them to
The
man them.
guards don't
this is
need
for the
them.
personnel, yes. 2
Yeah.
officers during business hours to cover the magnetometers. And to,
Seems like a big increase, just.
Well, if you had
considering
7%
the
inflation, $900,000, that's gonna add up. I mean, we all know we're having problems finding people. I'm sure they're having the same issues.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're having problems finding police, I can only imagine
Right.
having problems trying to find security officers,
Right.
probably be on the same level.
so the increase is a blend of both the increase in the hourly rate from where we were a few years ago on the previous contract, as well as the additional 5,200 hours a year of personnel to cover the magnetometer. So there's two components that go into that increase.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Oppose? Motion carries. Item C, is there a motion on JPSP 3423, contract used inside public sector, equipment for the sheriff, amount not to exceed 133,238.32. Motion by member Chaplin, second by member Garcia. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Oppose? Motion carries. Item 7, resolutions. There a motion on FIR 2823, acceptance appropriation Illinois State opioid response 50,000. Moved by member Shorzy, second by member Garcia. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Oppose? Motion carries. Item number 8, budget transfers. Is there a motion on item A, budget transfers? The amount.
So moved.
For, for jury commission for food and beverage shortfall. Moved by member Chaplin, second by member Garcia. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Oppose? Motion carries. Item 9, change orders. Is there a motion on JPS CO 223? Change order issue to General
Second.
Technologies for software and software maintenance for public defender, increase of 1.12%. Moved by member Garcia, second by member Chaplin. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Oppose? Motion carries. Item 10, grants. Is there a motion on or receive to place on file grant proposal notification, Illinois Court Technology for $200,000. Moved by member Desart, second by member Chaplin. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Oppose? Motion carries. Item 11, informational. Is there a motion to receive and place on file
So
Public
moved.
Defender's Office report? Moved by member Chaplin, second by member Desart. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Oppose? Motion carries. Item 12, old business. Any old business? Member Chaplin?
Just a question, since we've been talking about the magnetometers, have they been installed in the front entrance? yet,
That's,
or-
yeah, because I like to know, because I got that steel plate in my head. I want to know if I need to come earlier, just in case.
Or when we're expecting them to be installed?
Well, they're sitting on the side when I walked in.
They were first used for the inauguration as a trial, and they were used effectively. It's my understanding from Chief Briggs that the plan right now is to have them online by March, concurrent with the new 421 entrance, which is under construction right now.
Perfect, that makes sense, yep, perfect.
You can, the entrance into the 421, if you've seen it, and we're completely redoing that. We have the ADA entrance, and the thought process is we're gonna bring everything up simultaneously with the magnetometers and that entrance.
Perfect, great, thank you.
Member Kuduski?
Just real quick, because we got to pick up there. Would go back to Monterey. Would they are old security with a different firm?
No, I believe, and again, I was not the director at the time. I believe we had Allied, we had G4S, which was acquired by Allied, and Monterey is a separate firm.
So they're a new firm coming in.
They're a new firm to us, but they're not a new firm to this type of work at all.
My question is, why didn't we use that firm to do the inauguration?
We did.
Well, according to this, I mean, in the proposal, they're showing that the pictures of Mendrick getting sworn in, and that they said Monterey provided the security for the swearing in.
For that evening, we hired Monterey, both armed and unarmed, to cover the magnetometers because they have experience with magnetometers and they had personnel available for
So
that.
our
evening.
current guys couldn't do that because they don't have anybody to do magnetometer.
I don't know if they could, and I would have to ask Chief Briggs.
Well, I mean, that would be my first thing is I would go to the firm that we currently have.
You had both firms there for the inauguration. You had your current contract. They were manning it. We brought in Monterey to man the magnetometers because they have so much experience with that. We wanted to kind of get a known commodity for the magnetometers. Since they do all the sporting events downtown, we wanted to have kind of their A team here for that.
Oh, okay, then we have 4 bidders that come in and they seem to be our best bidders. All right, thank you.
Yeah, stop watching Fox. Not too much conspiracy. Thank you, member Kuduski. Any other old business? Any new business? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second,
Moved by member Shorzy, second by member Garcia, all in favor?